CLB 926, Orature in East Africa. Meaning of orature. The term orature is relatively recent. It was coined by two East African scholars, Pio Zirmu and Austin Bukenya, in the early 1970s. They introduced the term to counter the tendency of referring to oral artistic expressions as merely oral literature. In a paper presented at a conference in Nigeria in 1971, Zirmu and Bukenya argued that the phrase oral literature was contradictory because the word literature is derived from the Latin word litera, meaning letter or writing. Therefore, using the term oral literature appeared paradoxical since oral art exists primarily in spoken form rather than written form. The term orature was therefore adopted to describe artistic verbal expressions communicated through speech and performance, especially in African societies. Definitions of orature. Okot Bitek, 1973. Okot Bitek defines orature as, open quote, all creative works of man expressed in words, whether spoken, sung, or written, close quote. Rosemary Akivaga and Wanjiku Kabira Odaga, 1982. They define orature as, open quote, spoken and acted, performed art whose medium, like that of written literature, is words, close quote. Jane Nandwa and Austin Bukenya, 1983. They define orature as, open quote, those utterances, whether spoken, recited, or sung, whose composition and performance exhibit to an appreciable degree artistic character through accurate observation, vivid imagination, and ingenious expression, close quote. Characteristics of orature. All the above definitions emphasize that orature, 1, is spoken or orally communicated, 2, involves performance, 3, is creative and artistic in nature. Development of orature as an academic discipline in East Africa. During the colonial period, African cultural expressions such as orature suffered neglect. European colonial scholars often regarded African oral traditions as primitive and unworthy of academic study. They also feared that preserving African cultural traditions could strengthen African consciousness and encourage demands for political, cultural, and economic freedom. Most colonial literature departments were highly Eurocentric. The curriculum emphasized European literary traditions while ignoring indigenous African knowledge systems. After independence, however, there emerged a strong movement advocating for the Africanization of education. The Department of Literature at University of Nairobi played a major role in reforming the curriculum to include African oral traditions. Why was it necessary to reform the curriculum? According to Okot Bitek, 1983, open quote, the aim of the African-oriented literature syllabus is to introduce students to African consciousness and cultural heritage, and to equip them with the linguistic tools to express themselves creatively and meaningfully within their African social groups. Close quote. Pioneer scholars urgently began collecting and producing teaching materials to facilitate the teaching of orature in schools and universities. Students at the University of Nairobi collected oral narratives, riddles, songs, and proverbs from their communities under the supervision of lecturers. By the 1980s, orature had become part of secondary school and university curricula, and many publications were available for teaching. From the year 2000 onward, orature scholarship in Kenya has remained vibrant through organizations such as the Kenya Oral Literature Association, which organizes conferences, publications, and research activities. Classification of orature. Classification refers to the division of orature materials into convenient categories based on specific criteria for purposes of study and analysis. Classification helps scholars establish order within large amounts of oral material, identify trends and patterns, make useful generalizations during analysis. However, classification is problematic. Scholars do not agree on a single system of classification. Austin Bukenya, 1990, Types of Classification. A. Generic classification. This groups oral forms into families sharing similar characteristics. Examples: narratives, oral poetry, proverbs, riddles. B. Situational, sociological classification. This classifies oral forms according to occasion, place, performer, audience. Examples: wedding songs, funeral songs, initiation songs. C. Stylistic classification. This classifies material according to manner of delivery. Examples: sung forms, narrated forms, recited forms. The structure and stylistic features are emphasized. D. Folkloristic classification. This views orature as part of the broader folklore and cultural practices of the community. E. Academic classification. This system is developed by scholars to provide broad, coherent, and systematic descriptions of collected materials. Genres and subgenres of orature. Genre. A genre is a broad category or division of orature, identified by nature of composition, subject matter, mode of performance. Genres in orature are often fluid, and overlaps may occur between categories. Major genres of orature in East Africa: genre Kiswahili, Doluo; narratives, hadithi, Sigana; songs, Nyimbo, where proverbs, Methali, Misimo, Ngero; riddles, Vitendo, Vilili. Detailed classification of orature, long forms. 1. Narratives, myths, ideological stories, legends, trickster narratives, ogre narratives, dilemma narratives, fables. 2. Oral poetry songs, initiation songs, satirical songs, funeral songs/dirges, children's songs, work songs, party songs, war songs, praise songs. Hack short forms, proverbs, riddles, puns, tongue twisters, allusions. Types of narratives. Number 1, myths. These are stories explaining the origin of people, customs, or natural phenomena. They often involve supernatural beings such as gods or spirits. 2. Ideological stories. These are stories that explain the origin or cause of certain phenomena in society or nature, such as physical features, animals' characteristics, natural occurrences. 3. Legends. These are stories centered on heroic individuals with extraordinary abilities. Such heroes perform remarkable acts that earn admiration and respect. 4. Trickster narratives. These narratives feature cunning characters who deceive others and escape punishment. Common trickster characters in African narratives include hare, tortoise. Their victims are usually larger or stronger animals such as lions, elephants. Stock characters are common in trickster narratives. 5. Ogre narratives. These revolve around frightening imaginary creatures called ogres. Ogres are supernaturally strong, dangerous to humans, usually gullible and easy to outsmart. Number 6. Dilemma narratives. These narratives present difficult choices where each option has both positive and negative consequences. The audience is expected to debate and determine the best decision. Number 7. Fables. These are stories featuring animals as characters and usually communicate moral lessons. Songs and oral poetry. Types of songs. 1. Marriage songs performed during marriage ceremonies. 2. Initiation songs performed during rites of passage. 3. Funeral songs, dirges, performed during mourning ceremonies. 4. Praise songs, used to celebrate heroes and important individuals. 5. Work songs, used to coordinate labor and reduce fatigue during communal work. 6. Party songs, performed during celebrations and entertainment. 7. War songs, sung to encourage warriors during conflict. 8. Children's songs, performed by children or caregivers. 9. Lullabies, sung to soothe children to sleep. 10. Satirical songs, used to criticize or mock undesirable behavior in society. Short forms of orature. Proverbs. Proverbs are brief statements expressing wisdom and communal philosophy. Characteristics. Use symbolism and metaphor. Convey moral lessons. Often structured in 2 parts. Warning, consequence. Examples. Uspaziba ufa, utajenga ukuta. Kizuri chajiuza, kibaya chajitembeza. Riddles. Riddles are verbal puzzles used mainly by children to test intelligence and creativity. Functions of riddles. Entertainment, intellectual training, preparation for longer performances such as narratives. Riddling cycle 1. Invitation. 2. Acceptance. 3. Challenge. 4. Response. 5. Reward or penalty. Allusions. These are indirect references to well-known events, stories, or characters within a community. Understanding allusions requires familiarity with the culture. Tongue twisters. These are sequences of difficult sounds intended to improve pronunciation and speech fluency. Examples. Shirika la reli la Rwanda. Puns. Puns involve deliberate wordplay to create humor or double meanings. Social functions of orature. Orature is closely connected to the social environment of the people who create and perform it. Functions. 1. Preservation of culture. Orature preserves traditions, beliefs, morals, philosophies, worldviews. 2. Social criticism and reform. Orature comments on human behavior and encourages social regeneration. 3. Entertainment. It provides enjoyment and emotional relief. 4. Education and socialization. It transmits societal values and discourages immoral behavior. 5. Promotion of unity performance strengthens social bonds and communal interaction. 6. Exploration explanation of the universe. Orature helps people understand nature, human existence, the cosmos. 7. Development of creativity. It nurtures imagination and artistic expression. 8. Historical preservation. Orature acts as a reservoir of communal history and identity. 9. Influence on written literature. Many African writers draw inspiration from oral traditions. Nature of orature. 1. Orature is ephemeral. It exists mainly during performance and disappears unless performed again. Walter Ong, 1982, open quote, sound exists only when it is going out of existence, close quote. 2. Orature is flexible. Unlike written texts, oral texts are not fixed and may change during performance. 3. Or depends on performance. Performance is central to meaning and artistic expression. 4. Orature is communal. It belongs to the community rather than individuals. Performance in orature. Performance refers to the total act and context involved in delivering orature. It includes audience participation, music, gesture, dance, voice variation, facial expressions. Importance of performance. Enhances communication, creates immediacy, strengthens communal participation. Importance of context. Meaning is influenced by physical setting, cultural environment, occasion. For example, narratives are commonly performed in homes at night. Riddles are often performed before storytelling sessions. Non-verbal aspects. Meaning also comes from gestures, costume, dance, decor. Components of oral performance. A. Composition. The oral artist creates and reshapes content during performance. B. Transmission. The performer determines what to perform, when to perform, how to perform. Audience. The audience influences pace, style, and meaning. D. Environment. The setting and occasion shape interpretation. The oral artist. The oral artist serves as a custodian of communal culture and history. Terms used in Africa. West Africa. Griot. Southern Africa. Imbongi Shashk. Roles of the oral artist. Preserve culture. Entertain. Educate. Criticize undesirable behavior. Inspire society. Qualities of a good oral artist. Good memory. Creativity. Effective voice variation. Use of gestures and mimicry. Understanding of social values. A famous African saying states, open quote, when an elder dies, a library burns, close quote. Types of oral artists. 1. Court poets, professional praise singers attached to royal courts. Examples, griots among the Mandinka, Imbongi among the Zulu. 2. Religious poets, performers involved in rituals and religious ceremonies. 3. Freelance roving oral artists, independent performers who move from place to place. 4. Part-time oral artists, people with other occupations who perform occasionally. 5. Amateur oral artists, ordinary members of society who participate in everyday oral performances. Audience in orature. Audience refers to the group targeted during performance. Types of audience. 1. Primary audience, the intended audience. 2. Secondary audience, unintended consumers of the performance. 3. Homogeneous audience, audience sharing common characteristics such as language, age, religion. 4. Heterogeneous audience, audience with diverse backgrounds. 5. Active audience, participates directly in performance. 6. Passive audience, listens quietly without participating. Gender issues in orature. Many African societies have historically been patriarchal, and these attitudes are reflected in oral traditions. Representation of women. 1. Women as wives. Women are portrayed as caregivers, homemakers, supporters of family life. They are expected to be respectful, patient, obedient. 2. Women as mothers. Women are viewed as central to child upbringing and domestic life. 3. Women as economic assets. In some traditions, daughters are viewed in terms of bride wealth, leading to practices such as early marriage. 4. Women as dangerous or deceptive. Some narratives portray women as seductive or destructive figures. Modern scholars critique these portrayals for reinforcing gender inequality. Contemporary trends in orature. 1. Globalization. Global cultural influences threaten some traditional oral practices by promoting cultural uniformity. 2. Digital media technology, such as radio, television, audio recording, video platforms has expanded the reach of orature. The concept of secondary orality explains how electronic media recreate aspects of oral performance. 3. Commodification of culture. Oral performances are increasingly commercialized for financial gain. This may decontextualize traditions, reduce cultural authenticity. 4. Cultural hybridity. Traditional oral forms now blend with modern influences. Modern performances may include electronic instruments, digital sound effects. 5. Cultural appropriation. Foreign cultural products may be adapted and integrated into local cultures. 6. Copyright and piracy. Traditional African societies viewed knowledge as communal property. Modern copyright systems create challenges concerning ownership, piracy, cultural exploitation. At the same time, strict copyright may limit the flexibility traditionally associated with orature.